What was it like for me when I turned 40? I wish that I had some story of some dramatic revelation about life, but it kind of came and went with a whimper a little bit, you know. I had a little party that night. I wore this red sleeveless jumpsuit and was very disco about it all. And, then I was 40 in a day, you know? Yeah, I think as I've been very, very blessed to be in a family where I have an uncle who's 82 years old, and he does construction. Like he's still building houses and still like doing renovations on homes. So that's my measure of age. And my mother and her brothers and sisters are still doing the same things they were doing 20 years ago. My mother, got halted because of, her body, started acting a fool on her. But yeah, I've lived in a family that has never defined itself by numbers, ever. I get asked a lot about, the choices that I make. And I don't get a lot of offers. That's not my life. I don't get a lot of offers at all. But the things that do come my way in terms of like what I choose to audition for and what I choose not to audition for, those are the choices that I make, And things that do come my way, for me, I choose to do things that I find are fascinating, that are interesting, and there's kind of no rhyme or reason to it. It's just that I feel like that's what I want to do when I get up in the morning. That's the job that I want to go to. It's interesting to me to play people who have a tremendous amount of personal conflict. That's interesting to me. It's, when you play someone who is noble, right? Like they know what they are. They even if they don't know what they are, they have a sense of purpose. They know that this is what I'm called to do. This is what I have to do. And so you sort of, when you act that, you sort of are playing within those lines a little bit. And also there's an expectation. I'm just saying, say for instance, if you play someone like Fannie Lou Hamer, which I would, anybody would love to play her, but you knew what she stood for. She had a purpose. This is what she had to do, what she needed to do for folks in Mississippi and Black folks around the world. So you just sort of try to meet that. But when you play somebody who doesn't know what they are, is just trying to survive and doing the best that they can, their moral compass is all over the place. That is interesting to me. And the reason why that's interesting to me, I'm always fascinated when I hear stories about people who do really, really horrible things. Really, really horrible things. And I think about their mothers and their aunts and their cousins. And I think about, do they still love them? And the answer to that question seems to always be, for the most part, yes. No matter what they did, there's always still love there. And I think that's why it's interesting to me to do that, because I'm always interested in the human capacity for love. And I think that when I play characters and what I'm drawn to, that's what I'm drawn to. Exploring both sides of that. The loving and the unlovable. the director of Book of Negroes told me that, a lot of several women turned down the character in Book of Negroes because they didn't want to play an enslaved woman, and I'm like, what? I don't even get that. I don't even get it. Like, what's the point? What's the point of it? If you're not trying to, like, if you're not, otherwise read a book. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the purpose of, like, seeing ourselves if we don't explore all of ourselves? What is the purpose of it? If we believe that what makes us as a people is only constructed with the Coretta Scott Kings and the Fannie Lou Hamers of the world, then we're denying what we see in between the subway and our homes. And that makes us too. So that's we got to delve in. We have to delve into all of that, and that to me is the art part of it. That's what makes me wanna. That's what makes me wanna do it. This is a problem that that we have as a country. And as opposed to it getting better, it's getting worse. And I think because one of the reasons is that we really honestly have not dealt with it. And when I say haven't dealt with it in the way that Germany dealt with it, haven't dealt with it in the way that South Africa dealt with it. First of all, acknowledging that it happened. And then saying that we as a country, we as a culture, a community of citizens of the world, of the citizens of this country, have to take responsibility for what happened on American soil. And what do we do to make this right? You have to apologize. You have to acknowledge. You have to apologize. And then there has to be every part of our culture has to address that and cannot pretend that slavery did not happen on American soil. From New York City to, to the South, to the West, slavery and the spoils of slavery was everywhere. And to this day, we are profiting from slave culture, from the slave economy. And so this country has yet to really acknowledge that, to acknowledge it as a nation, to acknowledge it from presidency to the Congress, to every facet of our government has to acknowledge that and then apologize for it, and then act. That's an act. It's not just, philosophizing, and it has to be an activity of making amends, making this right. And it's not just making it right for black folks, it's making it right for white people too. Because what we don't realize and what we're seeing now is that white supremacy does not just affect black people, white supremacy affects white people. To their detriment. They may not realize it, but to their detriment. One of those things, when I talk about making things right and correcting things, is this sort of residue of slave culture. And one of those things is the Confederate flag. Now, folks believe that the Confederate flag only flies in Mississippi and the Confederate flag was only flying in South Carolina, and that's not true. The difference between South Carolina and Mississippi is South Carolina flew that Confederate flag at one part on their, state capitol building, right? It was up but in Mississippi, it is our official emblem. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere in government, on school grounds. It's everywhere that you exist as a citizen of Mississippi, that flag is present. So as a result, wherever the Mississippi state flag flies in this country, the Confederate flag flies. So the Confederate flag is all over Washington, D.C., and it flies in the Super Bowl. Now you tell me the logic of having an organization like the NFL with 70% of its players are African American and 0% of its owners are African American. They're all white. You tell me the logic of flying a flag that tells African Americans and its African American players that they're nothing but chattel, that they're nothing but slaves. And we go on that field and we provide their entertainment, and we're compensated for it. But it's a difference between getting paid for something and ownership. Ownership. And for me, it's not just owning a team, it's owning yourself. Owning yourself. And I believe that that's still the idea of Black self-ownership, owning who we are, owning our existence in this country. I still feel that that strikes a chord of fear throughout everybody in this nation. And that's something that we have to reckon with. So I believe very, very strongly that when it comes to the flag, that's not a symbol. People say, well, it's just a symbol. It's not. When Dylann Roof killed the worshipers in Emmanuel AME, there were pictures of him, and he burned the American flag, and he flew the Confederate flag. Now, that flag is used as a call to action to take the life of American citizens, to kill, maim, and destroy the lives of American citizens. It's not a symbol, it's a call to action. And it has no place. It has no place in American culture. It has no place in civilization. After World War II, the German government acted to get rid of all of that. All imagery of Nazism. They call it denazification. They got rid of all of that. And the United States led that. They led that. So why won't we do the same thing here? Why do we hold on to something that is an agent of terror against American citizens? Why do we do that? And I think we have to, if they won't answer that, then it's my responsibility to insist that they do.